Hi, my name is Amy Babcock. I'm a physical therapist with Agile Physical Therapy. I'm going to attempt to give you a presentation today on a biomechanical bike fit, utilizing some information I've gained as both a physical therapist and an avid cyclist. My background includes a master's degree in exercise physiology, where I studied nutrition and cycling performance, a master's in physical therapy, board certification in orthopedics, and certification in orthopedic manual therapy, and I'm also a certified yoga teacher. I've studied biomechanics and bike fit from Jackie Lockwood, the Fit Institute, Slow Twitch, and Paul Swift at bikefit.com. A lot of the images in this slideshow come from Paul's website, so he's got a wealth of information on his website as well if you want to check out bikefit.com. I've been a cyclist for over 30 years. I competed at an elite level as a cyclist and triathlete for about 15 years. Now I primarily try to help out my son, who races on a high school composite team for both mountain biking and cyclocross. When I first started becoming more serious about cycling, I quickly realized how important a good bike fit was for both cycling performance and prevention of injuries. Although today's talk is focusing primarily on a road bike fit, many of the same principles can be applied to a mountain bike. A mountain bike fit is generally more relaxed, less aerodynamic than a road fit. When performing a bike fit, it's important to take a thorough history, including how long the client has been on their current bike, what kind of cycling they perform, how many miles or hours they ride, any problems previously or currently on their bike, and whether they're looking for more of a performance issue or decreasing pain. It's important to know the goals of the cyclist, such as do they have a nagging knee problem that's limiting their commute to work, or is their lower back an issue with increased mileage? Is there anything in their medical history that might be contributing to these complaints? Fitting is both a combination of the general parameters that we're about to review, but we need to also make sure we take into considerations the cyclist anatomy, flexibility, personal preference, comfort. The number one consideration, though, is always safety and injury prevention. An individual who's using their bike to get around town or commute is going to want a more upright position, and they're going to want to be able to put their foot down easily. Whereas someone who's competing is going to want to balance out both performance and comfort. The use of angles on a bike fit help us get into a general ballpark, and then we make smaller adjustments as needed. For example, the Fit Institute suggests a starting position with the saddle low and back, gradually moving the saddle up and forward based on the cyclist's preference. As previously mentioned, the fit will be somewhat different based on the type of bike the cyclist is riding. However, take a step back and just look at the big picture. Is the bike too big or too small? It's important to understand basic terminology of the bike, such as the top tube, down tube, seat tube, bottom bracket, and stem. There are both dynamic and static fit systems. Bikes that adjust on the XY axis are made for a dynamic fit system. Riders' fit coordinates are found while the rider is aboard and pedaling the bike. With a dynamic fit, the rider's position can be changed while pedaling with accurate adjustments for both up and down, forward and back of both the saddle and the handlebar. The pedaling action, sense of comfort, and power are all part of the finished product. You get very quick feedback, but the dynamic fit systems can be very costly. A retrofit is where the client already has a bike and we place it on a trainer to take the measurements. Measurements can be taken either statically while asking the client to stop pedaling or while pedaling, recording a video. Just to clarify some measurements, the seat tube is measured from the bottom bracket to the top of the saddle. The stack and reach are both measurements from the bottom bracket to the head tube, the stack being on the y-axis and the reach on the x-axis. Another useful measurement would be the distance from the bottom bracket to the handlebars, or the handlebar X, HX. The image on the right shows some trials during a bike fit from slowtwitch.com. It shows the different trials for SX, or saddle X and Y, and different trials for handlebar X and Y. That's the elevation and the distance of the reach. With using a time trial bike, we can also get precise with the measurements from the pads, the elevation and the distance. If you don't have a fit bike, you can use this tool to help measure the X and Y coordinates that will help determine our stack and reach. Stack and reach, or XY coordinates, can be used to determine the type and size of bike for future purchases, can be found on websites for specific bikes, and you can transfer data from one bike to another. Suggested tools for a retro bike fit include Allen keys, preferably with a torque limit, screwdrivers, tape measure, goniometer, laser or plumb bob, leveler with a metal ruler, a camera and video recorder, apps such as Coach's Eye, shims or wedges, paddle spacers, and a Sharpie. Remember that this is a biomechanical assessment which takes into consideration the anatomy, flexibility, injuries, and limitations of the cyclist. In other words, the human body is not symmetrical like the bike. If there is a leg length discrepancy or a scoliosis or even a pedaling efficiency problem, that needs to be addressed as well. If changing the fit doesn't resolve the problem, you may need to further assess fitness, pedaling mechanics, muscle imbalances, and areas of weakness. There are 3 primary contact points: the feet, pedals, cleats, cycling shoes, and cranks, the saddle, height, fore aft, and cycling shorts, and the third is the handlebars, which includes both the bars, the brake levers, and the hoods. Tune in to the next video where we talk more detailed about the shoes, cleats, and pedals.